vent. Where's that marker? Okay. So to make the vent, we added a shape like that to our pattern, right? To both sides. Yeah? You're going to sew the two sides together and leave the last centimeter open. This is exactly the same story with the sleeve as well. You're going to sew down your seam, down the vent, leave the last centimeter open. Okay? This is what's going to happen to create the vent from the outside. One piece stays open like that. The other piece gets folded in and sits on top of that. Okay? So one piece is basically extended past that seam. Look. So if your seam was originally there, one piece is just extended. The other piece is still in the same place, but the extended part that you added to it is acting as a facing. Okay? So in order to line this properly, the side that is extended is going to have lining going all the way to here. So the extended part has lining all the way to the edge. The piece that is the facing, and it's being folded in, is going to be sewn to a smaller lining to be held in. Okay? It needs to be held by something. So the lining is going to hold it. That's why we're deducting from the lining. How is that? Yeah? Little bit better?
Yeah.
Whenever you have a vent situation, you're going to do the 1 centimeter seam allowance first from all the parts that are normal, that you haven't deducted anything from. So from this side, we hadn't deducted anything. We just take an entire, all the way we take 1 centimeter seam allowance and leave it like that. The other side, you're going to leave the part that's missing, and then do 1 centimeter seam allowance for everything else. So if this was the sleeve, you would then continue going around, and this would be a situation like this. Yeah? So it's exactly the same sewing wise. It's just a little bit more fiddly for the sleeve because it's a smaller area where you need to turn inside out and do all these things. Now I'm going to turn this inside out and show you how we finish here and how we finish the hem. So if we can do the vent in one go, but this, if we can do it in 2 groups, just so everyone can see close up. Okay? I'm going to turn the jacket inside out again. How are we doing the time? Here, half an hour. Okay, can I just show everyone this? This is where was my original garment, and then I added 4 centimeter vent to that. Okay? Where this is being folded in, like that, you're gonna sew and leave 1 centimeter open. So I'm just sewing in 3 centimeters. Ignore me cutting in. Okay. That is where we had deducted some of the facing. That's the corner. This is the piece that's being folded in. So I'm just finishing off the corner here. Okay? Does everyone know what piece this is? This is the piece of the vent that folds over the other piece. Yeah?
But you didn't attach the lining.
No. First you're going to finish off that corner. The lining is attached to here. Now this lining, let me turn this side out again. It's going to go like this. Up. And then down here. Into this seam.
So you fold the 1 centimeter into the lining.
Pin this and show you guys how it works. Look. So the 4 centimeter seam allowance. Look, the 4 centimeter seam allowance with the lining attached to it with the overhang is being attached to the facing of the vent. Look, that's the vent folded in, being attached to the lining. The lining going in there. You see that little pleat of lining forming there? That's the overhang. terrible sewing. I'll have to fix that later.
I don't see that.
Huh?
I don't see that.
Well, I should have actually cut this off to begin with. Let me sew this and then I'll pass it to you guys. What's going on? Huh?
You don't have battery anymore.
Oh, your phones are dying? Do you want to swap with anybody? Okay. This is the story. Facing folded in, joined to the lining. Hem folded up, joined to the lining. They get joined together, sandwiching the overhang. Do you want to maybe pass this around